Hello, welcome to Digitalsoftecs. In this session, we are going to introduce with the Python syntax. So we have started the Python programming tutorials, and today's turn is Python syntax topic. So Python syntax is very important and very important to understand. That is why when we are talking about Python development, so it is important to learn how to write a code. So the first step is that how we can write a code in any programming languages, but we are here to write our code in Python. So let's explore about the Python syntax. So Python syntax include one topic, that is Python indentation. So let's explore this Python indentation. So Python syntax is very simple. There is no proper way to write execute Python program. As we talk in introduction towards Python tutorial, that Python is very simple language. What make is its simplicity? Its simplicity is there is no proper syntax to write the code like other programming languages, Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Swift. So there's C++. So these languages are very complicated as we compared with Python, because in Java, in C++, you write the header files, you will write the default code, that is the main function, and a lot of things you can write when you are writing the code for programming. So when we talking about this specific language which called Python, so in Python there is no proper way to write your code. So it's quite funny, but it is right. So Python program can write directly into command line. Also there is a Python shell, so there are a lot of way to you can write. So that is why when something is written in command line, so there is no proper way of writing something, but just line of code and all the thing will execute it. So Python gives us this way, the simple way to write your code in Python shell, or a lot of way to write your Python code. But we're talking about the PyCharm IDE, so we will explore with the help of example that how we can write Python code. It's depend upon the IDE we use. We talking about PyCharm. So in PyCharm we just create project and we write our code how we want. So there is why Python syntax is very simple. There is no header files or that's ambiguous like code you can write. Python syntax is very simple. So one thing you must understand related to you writing about Python and Python syntax stuff, so that is Python indentation. So what is indentation? If you understand the indentation, it is very easy for you to write your Python code. So indentations refer to the beginning of the code line. So when we just writing a code, we write print. So that is why the beginning in the writing of the code, in the beginning we will just be focused upon there. If the ID picks an error, so that is indentation error. So that is why we can remove with the help of space and white spaces and backspaces. So that is why usually the space bar is used when you type space bar, so the code will move toward the right hand side. So there is a lot of way we'll explore in the example. So it is the beginning of the code line. So in Python, indentation is very important when we write in code. As we talked earlier, said, so indentation is nothing but a spaces among block of codes. So we will use the spaces among the line of code. So that is why the Python code will look like simple and easily understandable. So Python indentation is nothing but spaces among the line of code. So when where in other programming languages the indentation in code for readability only, so the indentation in Python is very important. Python, so indentation, why indentation? Indentation is referred to the code real readability, that when we use spaces among the code, so the code will not be ambiguous, they contain spaces, they that is its look is very good. So its look and its readability is improved. So that is why the Python simplicity still remain when you are writing thousands of line code. So that is why indentation advantage is to make the code easily readable. So we have the Python use indentation to indicate the block of code. For example, if there's a lot of line of code, so one function is to display information, the other block of code is to taking information from the user, the other block of code is checking the information that it is correct or not. So this three line block of code, so which help us to gives the functionality. So when we use indentation, so that code will be easily readable, will easily be understandable. So let's move towards the PyCharm ID, where we explain the indentation with the help of example. So let's move on. So we are on PyCharm ID. So let's explore about indentation. So there are three block of codes. The first one is the simple Python statement. The second one is if statement, which is usually used in a lot of languages, and that is the list. So list and if statement and everything related to Python will be explored in the future tutorial. So here we use this statement. So it is a simple statement, it is a very easy statement. So we have write print Python development. So it is a 4 line of code here, and there is no error or no spaces among them, which is called indentation. So when we use space, it will pick an error. So how you can identify it is indentation error? So I use this space, and we will click on this, and that is unexpected indent in line number 6. So that is why this block of code is disturbed. So when we disturbing our code, it will produce an error. So when we'll use these thing, it will be pick an error. So when we use backspaces, so this print statement is a simple statement, and it's a group of statement. When I am disturbing this group, it will give me indent error. So it is very simple to understandable. The next one is about the if statement. So let's disturb this block of code. It will generate an indentation error. Let give me the overview. It is an indent expected. So indent expected is that when we writing our code, we are disturbing the Python syntax, so it will produce that indent expected. So when I use this space, this error will be removed and there is no error. Warnings, but warnings are not error in any condition. So that is why here I use unexpected indent, and there I use the indent which is not necessary, which is not required. So that is why it is very simple. The id will be execute an error, and you should remove with the help of spacebar and backspace, and the code will be look like simple. So here I can disturbing the code, so it will also produce an indent error. So it is all about the indentation. If you feel any difficulties, you write your query in the comment, and we will try to resolve as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe our channel.